process of writing these references process, these are all part of a discipline. Like how disciplined are you in making the report, how disciplined are you in making the references. This is going to reflect largely in deciding whether your manuscript will be accepted in a good journal or not. This is related. The next part is the acknowledgement. The journal would like to ask acknowledgements, right? So you need to acknowledge. Who should you acknowledge? Anyone who helped this research but does not qualify for authorship. Someone allowed you to use their laboratory, please put it. Someone has given you a questionnaire, you put it. Someone has helped you in the data collection and they give the permission. I want to do the data collection in a hospital. I went to the medical director, hospital director, and I asked for approval. He gave me approval. So I will acknowledge him. I will acknowledge my patients who took time and being part of my study, and whenever I visited them, they spent time filling the questionnaire, so on. I would do that. There's a person who gave me statistical help, I put it. And there's a department head who was very much encouraging for me. I want to do my study in the pediatrics. So I went and met the pediatric HOD, and the HOD said that, yes, you please do the study, and if any help from my side, I will help you. And he's ready to give the patient-related information, spend some time acknowledging him. There's a person in the medical records department who was very kind in bringing the medical record for your patient. Please acknowledge him. There was a radiologist who helped you in interpreting the X-ray, interpreting the CT scan of the patient with back pain. Please acknowledge him, but do not acknowledge your friends. Do not acknowledge your parents. Do not acknowledge your relatives. Do not acknowledge, someone who is not part of your research. Okay, but if a person has done more of contribution, you have to give them a authorship. Now, who can be authorship? This is a very important thing. Now, when a student do the research, there are different approaches that are followed in different universities and in different occasions. Sometimes the students, when they do the student research, the faculty member, the guide who has conceptualized the research project can be the first author and the corresponding author. Sometimes what they do, the students, they give all the students the first author, and they say that in the authorship that all the authors contributed equally in the research. Okay, all the authors contributed equal in the research. That means no first author, second author. Everyone become the first author. Okay, that can be one approach. Sometimes one student was the team leader, has done the maximum contribution. Then that student will be the first author. And for the student research, normally the faculty member, the guide, is going to be the corresponding author. That's understood all over the world. Why? Because the students graduate, maybe after graduation, the student go look for a job and, or join some job and become very busy during the first 6 months to 1 year. By then, the journal will have some questions, some modification and so on. The students may not be able to answer it properly, or student is traveling, student has gone to a foreign country, or maybe a distant place where there is no time, or there is no access to the internet, or maybe the student is in another country, whether the daytime of that country is the nighttime in India. So the guide and the student is unable to communicate. So due to all these reasons, normally the corresponding author for a student research is going to be the guide, but the first author, second author, and so on, that has to be decided. But it is important, before you start the research project, it is decided who will be the first author and corresponding author, so that at the end we don't land up in any sort of complications, okay, and confusions, right? So you can acknowledge the people, the medical records people, and so on. But please, I repeat again, if there is substantial contribution in the conceptualization, making the tool, data collection, result analysis, discussion, then you give authorship. But it doesn't qualify for that, but it help, and you give them as the acknowledgement. But please remember, you cannot put the name of any person who has never been related. I cannot put my friend or my roommate, or someone who was helping me, who was giving me some sort of thing, or someone, or the bank who give me loan in conducting my study, or so on. So something indirect one you cannot put it, but who has directly contributed. I'm not talking about the thesis acknowledgement here. I'm talking about the acknowledgement in the manuscript here. Okay. Now, appendices. That means you have to put the questionnaire which you have used in your research. The journal may publish, the journal may not publish. If it is a questionnaire that's been adapted from someone, journals normally don't publish it. But if it is your questionnaire and first time you are publishing, then the journals want this questionnaire also to be published. That's why it should be listed in the appendix. And maybe the approval letters, the permission letter, ethical approval, and so on can be mentioned in your appendix. So appendix is last part after the references. And then list anything that need not to be kept in the manuscript, like find some figures and charts, etc. Like for example, sometimes there are some figures and some charts, etc. There's some data collection tool and so on. You don't want it to be part of the manuscript, but just you can submit to the journal so that the journal editor and the journal reviewer will see that how well the study is being executed. For example, if I'm using a study on, I'm conducting a study on back pain, then maybe I have used a patient profile form, which is very unique. So I want to upload that patient profile form also in the appendix and so on. But at least it is important that you mention the tools and the questionnaires which you have used in your appendixes. Okay. Now, a few important issues when this finishes all the parts of our manuscript which we have already seen. So we have gone through all the parts and its important contents and the significance of each of these parts in the manuscript, scientific manuscript.